News presents Veterans Voices, honoring those who served.
Hello and welcome to Veterans Voices, honoring those who serve. I'm Candace Kelly.
And I'm Nick Toma. We are pausing to recognize the men and women who served and continue to serve our country.
We begin with an interesting story about veterans' views in the changing times.
Two veterans from two different eras sitting down to talk about what makes them the same and what makes their service to our country different. 2822's Avery Nape has our story.
I'm a lot older than Sean, but he's my brother. That's the way it is.
Thomas Munley, an Army veteran who served in the jungles of Vietnam, and Sean O'Shea, a National Guard veteran who served in the deserts of Iraq, guarding one of the world's most notorious war criminals. Two men with two drastically different perceptions of war, united by their love for their country and their pride in the uniforms they and thousands of other men and women wore and continue to wear to this day.
When somebody puts on a uniform, it changes your whole world. It changes your whole world. You're in the service of your country.
You could have a bond from, a 90-year-old World War II veteran to an 18-year-old, Iraq veteran. The bond is there.
Despite that bond, the pair's experiences at war couldn't have been more different.
We fought to keep each other alive. And I was in a lot of firefights over there. And we fought, and I saw people die right next to me. But we fought to keep each other alive.
I didn't see action like Judge Munley did. I had, a different job while I was there, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for soldiers like Judge Munley who fought those fights, so I didn't have to.
O'Shea joined the National Guard at just 17 years old following 9/11. His reason for joining echoed the sentiments of many others at the time. A rally of patriotism following what is considered the most devastating attack ever to happen on U.S. soil. Upon returning home, he was celebrated.
When I came home, they had police escorts and buses, and everybody's on the street and they're clapping. We went to the Watrous Armory in Scranton, and your whole family's there, and everybody's loving and hugging you. They can't wait.
Compare that to the time of Munley's return from Vietnam. It was common for Vietnam vets to experience backlash of an unpopular war. Many were spat on and called derogatory names, even though many servicemen, including Munley, were draftees. He recalls wanting to fill up his car's gas tank.
I waited in line 30 minutes, and when I got up, I had my uniform on. I was back from Vietnam, but I was still in the service. The guy threw me out of the line. He said, "I'm not giving gas to you."
But despite the differences in public opinion, the politics, and their experiences at war, the pair couldn't be closer. A bond they say all veterans share.
When I see Sean out on the street or somewhere, I say to myself, he knows. He knows exactly what I went through, and I know what he went through.
And the respect they have for each other and all veterans is undeniable.
World War I, Korea, World War II, Vietnam, they paved the way for the soldiers of now. And we wouldn't be as well off and able to fight the battles that we continue to fight without the sacrifices like Judge Munley made.
For Veterans Voices in Jessup, Avery Nape, 2822 News.
Judge Munley's Veterans Views segments can be seen weekdays during our 11 a.m. newscast. The judge and his guests tackle a variety of veterans issues and questions every day. You can reach the judge by calling the Veterans Views hotline 570-706-7418.
And later, Avery Nape will have much more about Sean's service. The U.S. Marine Corps is marking a milestone, 250 years. A local Marine organized the celebration in Luzerne County.
I recently sat down with Mark Cross, who looked back at his time serving with pride, a 17-year-old Bishop Hoban grad ready to take on the toughest challenge of his life.
The Marine Corps has been protecting America for 250 years. That's cause for celebration. And this man is helping to organize the party in NEPA. Mark Cross was a corporal in the Marines from 1977 to 83. The Wilkes-Barre native joined the service as a 17-year-old, along with some of his friends from high school. But his interest in the Marines was initially piqued at age 12 from, of all things, a TV commercial.
We're looking for a few good men who can stand with the United States Marines.
As Cross remembers it, that moment and that commercial changed his life.
It was black and white video for the Marine Corps recruiters, and it was pouring rain, and it was in the Rose Garden at the White House, and they had these Marine recruits doing push-ups and jumping jacks. And when that commercial was over, my dad looked at me and he said, "That's going to be you someday, Mark."
Cross's dad was an Army medic, so his gut instinct was right. And he wasn't the only family member to serve. Mark's sister was in the Air Force. After boot camp at Parris Island, Cross was stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. He says the Marines gave him a level of discipline he wouldn't have gotten elsewhere, eventually leading to his post-military career as a corrections officer at SCI Dallas.
What I took away from the Marine Corps was a future of facing challenges, everyday challenges. And we know the older you get, the more challenges you face. And being in the Marine Corps, getting through that part of my life made me face reality, hardships in everyday life. And I always fell back on the Marine Corps to say, Mark, you got yourself through this years ago, you could get yourself through anything.
Cross says those who attend the birthday celebration in November will come away with a newfound respect for the hard work and dedication of those who've made protecting America their priority. The United States Marine Corps birthday is celebrated every November 10th with a traditional ball and cake cutting ceremony,
giving veterans and first responders the opportunity to relax and enjoy nature. We will meet the veterans behind Camp Freedom and how they're helping fellow veterans in a unique way every day.
If I don't come out and do this, who is going to thank women veterans for their service?
She's a woman veteran on a mission to make sure the memory and service of fellow women veterans are never forgotten.
We now return to Veterans Voices.
Two veterans, one from the Army, the other from the Coast Guard, are turning their own service and sacrifice into healing for others.
2822's Brian Orban takes us to Camp Freedom in the Pennsylvania wilderness.
Tucked into the mountains of northeastern Pennsylvania, 2,350 acres of wilderness stretch from river bottom to mountaintop. This is Camp Freedom, a nonprofit built by veterans for veterans.
Something that puts you in the realm of running towards danger and you transition out. We found that to be a real issue for so many people. Give people the opportunity to rediscover mission, purpose, and hope in their lives. Those three factors are life-changing.
Executive Director Matt Gatiss served as an Army officer before moving into ministry and the outdoor industry. He says it was his time in uniform that shaped his mission today, helping other service members find peace beyond the battlefield.
I knew that we had a greatly underserved segment of our society, which was veterans and first responders. So we took that overall vision of individuals with disabilities and we made it about veterans and first responders with disabilities and then expanded that to their families.
Since 2018, Camp Freedom has welcomed more than 13,000 veterans and first responders, all at no cost. Donations keep the mission alive, giving guests a place to fish, hunt, hike, or simply talk with someone who understands.
You know, once I was injured and I was no longer operational, is that you come to that realization, and it's a very tough one, to be pulled out of that and to recognize that you can't go back to it. You know, so it was very difficult.
This wooden bridge connects one side of the lake to the other, but for veterans who walk it, it's more than just a crossing. It's a step from isolation to connection. Assistant Director Jamie Bird, a retired Coast Guard veteran who says his own recovery after injury gave him a new calling to help others do the same.
Everything I've done up to this point has led me here, is that all of my service, all of my education, my injury, my difficulty with my injury, and then being on the other side helps me to be not only an advocate for disabled veterans and first responders, but a central point of contact.
He says what happens here can't be measured because the healing runs deeper than the trails and tree lines.
It's just a pleasure to be able to see them come here, and you know that they're struggling, and maybe they're not upfront with it at first about what they're struggling with, but to see them overcome that and then to see them be able to share that journey with somebody else is just extraordinary.
For both Matt and Jamie, it all comes back to service, not on the front lines, but in the quiet of the woods.
They're serving for freedom, and so we're very thankful for all of them, and we want them to know that they have a place that they can come, that they can get away, that they can relax, that they can just get a respite, and that's what this is.
A place where two veterans are helping thousands find their next mission, and a bridge back to hope. For Veterans Voices in Wayne County, Brian Orban, 2822 News.
Camp Freedom continues to expand its programs year-round, offering veterans and first responders outdoor adventures and a chance to heal together.
A local veteran was presented a proclamation in Key to Wilkes-Barre back in October. Korean War veteran Donald Williams retired as a sergeant first class. He received medals for his heroism during the war. Williams was born and raised in Wilkes-Barre, and it's where he and his wife settled down to raise a family.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it more than I ever expected. I thought I was done a long time ago as far as this kind of stuff.
This is a man that's a genuine hero, and he's a hero from the city of Wilkes-Barre, Silver Star recipient, and also the fact that he saved lives. So this is someone we had to recognize.
Williams' family was there at City Hall when the mayor presented him with the honor. Many communities are pausing to remember our older war veterans.
In July, a 100-year-old World War II veteran was honored in Wayne County for her service to his country and community. 2822's Joe Mason talked to him about his service and the honor.
At the Wayne County Courthouse, Sergeant Joseph Drake, honored by his family, friends, and the Wayne County Commissioners for his service during World War II. Drake was drafted into the U.S. Army in April of 1943 and served as Sergeant of Mortars. Earlier this year, Mr. Drake was honored in Washington, D.C. with the Congressional Gold Medal.
I had a private escort around London, and everybody treated me so good, and I met many of the family of all the Rangers that was there. It was very, very nice.
The award honors World War II Army Rangers and recognizes their extraordinary bravery, sacrifice, and critical contributions to the war. Drake has received many awards in his 100 years, but says saving his fellow Rangers is the most meaningful of all.
I had the 5 stars in Europe, 5 stars, and also I had a lot of individual things that I saved some of the other Rangers for. That meant more to me than anything.
Brian Smith is the chairman of the commissioners and has known Drake for years.
This is a particular man who is one of only, I think they said, 7 alive, you know. There's not many of them left. He never changes. He's just a great gentleman, great family man, loves his kids, loves his grandkids.
And even after all these years, Sergeant Drake still holds his hometown close to his heart.
Honesdale is a wonderful place to bring up your family, you know. Of course, Hawley too, but I mean the whole area around here, everybody's so nice.
The greatest generation.
The Wayne County Commissioners say they wish Mr. Drake all the best in his future health and happiness. For Veterans Voices in Honesdale, Wayne County, Joe Mason, 2822 News.
After returning home, Joseph Drake spent 34 years with the U.S. Postal Service as district postmaster, covering 17 offices in Wayne and Pike counties.
Sadly, we are losing members of our greatest generation, and we recently lost Al Liberatore, a Scranton veteran who we featured on 2822 News in April as he celebrated his 103rd birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Liberatore was born in Scranton, April 3, 1922. He enlisted in high school and left in 1940 to fight in World War II. In fact, he never received his diploma until a few years ago. In 2017, Al was presented with his official high school diploma. We asked him in April, what's his secret to a long life?
The most important thing is to smile. If you smile, it'll keep you healthy and happy. I can't offer any more advice than that. Just don't complain. Nobody wants to hear a complainer.
Al passed away in September. The World War II veteran spent a lot of time at the Scranton Senior Community Center on Jackson Street, and he is missed by his family and his friends.
Still to come, overcoming the pains of service and personal loss. One local veteran is taking his message of strength to students.
Where does playing a victim get you in life?
Then a Lackawanna County native was part of a small group charged with guarding Saddam Hussein during his time in captivity.
You get to see him brush his teeth, do his wash, eat his meals, have conversations back and forth.
We'll meet both of these incredible men next on Veterans Voices, honoring those who serve.
We now return to Veterans Voices.
A former Army veteran from our area is using his own life experience to inspire the next generation.
Earl Granville visited a local school to talk with students about overcoming adversity and the lessons he learned during his military career. 2822's Paula Giacomo was there for his presentation.
My mindset, like when I first joined the military, once again, I made it all about me. Feeling sorry for myself, playing the victim, thinking the world owes me everything.
All eyes and ears were on former Army Staff Sergeant Earl Granville, a Scranton area veteran who shared his story of service and strength with hundreds of students at Wyoming Seminary Upper School in Kingston during a speech entitled The Weight We Carry. At 19, Earl and his twin brother Joe joined the Pennsylvania National Guard after graduating from Carbondale Area High School. Only 2 weeks into basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, 9/11 reshaped their mission. Over the next 9 years, Earl deployed to Bosnia, Iraq, and Afghanistan, helping rebuild schools and hospitals while encountering the dangers of war.
Where does playing a victim get you in life? Nowhere.
Earl's final tour ended in tragedy. A roadside bomb took his left leg below the knee. At Walter Reed Medical Center, Earl spent days in intensive care and months learning how to walk again. A prosthetic leg, the death of 2 teammates, and the loss of his brother to suicide remind Earl of the heavy cost of service. But he's turned that pain into purpose, traveling the world to motivate and uplift others.
Purpose, passion, part of something. Attitude, comfort zone, community.
Earl says that with the help of the community, anything is possible. And when it comes to failure,
don't dwindle on it, learn from it, and move forward.
Earl Granville spoke for about an hour, leaving a lasting impression on the students.
I thought it was really inspirational and motivational. He emphasized the importance of community, attitude, and just finding your purpose and waking up to do something you love every day.
I think it was very, very moving. I really think that it's important for people to recognize the service that people have put into this country and all over the world.
I truly thought it was so moving. Like the way he really pushed for all of us to understand his 3 Ps. I thought that was very well needed for all of us to hear, but also take in. And examples were very, very clear.
I loved it. I feel like speeches like those should be mentioned a lot more about trying to find a purpose, taking it serious, and kind of having something to work towards in life.
And in life, Earl says, we may not be able to choose our hardships, but we can choose how we carry them. For Veterans Voices, I'm Paula Giacomo in Luzerne County, 2822 News.
Earl Granville recently graduated from the University of Scranton and is a member of the U.S. Warriors sled hockey team. He also works with many nonprofits that keep wounded veterans and law enforcement active. For more information about Earl's presentations, head to our website, 2822news.com, for a link.
A woman with ties to NEPA is the star of a new video campaign spotlighting careers in the U.S. Army Reserves. But her story began far away from the field of battle and actually started on the balance beams and uneven bars of Luzerne County.
If you learn how to be all that you can be in one situation in your life, you can do it in all of them.
The new Army Reserve video campaign is called It's Your Time, and the star is a Sugarloaf native and gymnastics instructor named First Lieutenant Brianna Hamilton. The campaign shows how soldiers are using their skills and expertise to impact reservists, but it also shows how resiliency and hard work can motivate others, an attitude First Lieutenant Hamilton exemplifies.
Perseverance has always been a characteristic of mine that I've had throughout my life, whether it had been when I was a gymnast and then quickly ended my career as a gymnast, or whether it be in the Army when things have not gone to plan necessarily, but there's always a way to get back up no matter what happens to you and to find another avenue to be successful in life.
Hamilton's from a military family. Her father is a retired colonel and both her grandfathers served. She was a high-level gymnast as a teen, but an injury ended her competitive career. She began med school at Penn State, eventually enlisting in the reserves. Her athletic setback became her motivation, and now she's a USA gymnastics coach, teaching students the importance of bouncing back, especially after a fall.
I have 2 daughters and 1 son, and both of my daughters are gymnasts.
Her entire family is in the video. It shows Lieutenant Hamilton coaching her oldest daughter for the Junior Olympics. She says that pride in family was passed down from her military dad.
Following in his footsteps and also trying to make him proud, and maybe a little friendly father-daughter competition, and trying to fill his shoes if I can even get there someday. So definitely was something I've always taken pride in.
Lieutenant Hamilton does get back to NEPA periodically, but for now she has a message for her family and friends back home.
I love the food. I miss you guys so much, and I can't wait to come home again and see you all.
Hamilton's currently in Salt Lake City working as a military police officer and company commander, recently helping at detention facilities from Fort Leavenworth to Guantanamo Bay.
Honoring women veterans one story at a time, a local Air Force veteran holds an annual Tea and Talk during Women's History Month. It's all to highlight female military achievements. 2822 News reporter Julie Dunphy shares her story.
These ladies were World War I veterans, and they were women. They were called the Hello Girls.
Air Force veteran Janice Gavern is committed to women veterans issues.
And the more I tell the message and the more I get out to my sister service women, the more they are inclined to go out and do the same sorts of things.
For the 17th year, Gavern held the Women Veterans and Friends Tea at the Geno J. Murley Veterans Center in Scranton.
She was a veteran. Her name is Iris Critchell. Iris Critchell was very unique.
Gavern hosts the event each year to recognize fellow women veterans' service.
If I don't come out and do this, who is going to thank women veterans for their service?
3 women were recognized this year, including Helen O'Hara, given a rose plant as a memento and a salute.
During the war, I was in the Korean conflict, yes.
A Navy veteran, O'Hara says she enjoyed the tea and learning about the servicewomen that came before her.
It's true. Everything that she said, I was shaking my head. Yes, that's the way it is, and that's the way it was.
Gavern also presented yellow roses to the other women in the room, veteran spouses.
This is my effort to make sure that they get thanked as they get older.
Born and raised in Scranton, Janice Gavern enlisted in the Air Force upon graduating from South Scranton Central Catholic High School. After 4 years spent on active duty, she joined the Air Force Reserves, serving another 22 years. She continues to serve her country as the Deputy Commander for Women Veterans Issues at the 15th District American Legion Department of Pennsylvania.
What we're trying to do is say that women did this. This is history. It is not something that they were handed. Believe me.
Gavern is also the historian for Gardner Warner American Legion Post 154 in Montrose. She's also the acting historian for Gladys Watkins American Legion Post 550, which once existed in Scranton. Additionally, a breast cancer and brain aneurysm survivor.
And I'm not ready to quit. I'm still doing this.
Keeping the stories of her sister servicewomen alive, Janice is a remarkable woman. For Veterans Voices, honoring those who serve, I'm Julie Dunphy, 2822 News.
Providing meals for veterans.
It's been a staggering amount of food. We've provided more than 1 million meals to struggling veterans since 2012, and it just keeps growing.
The Valor Clinic in Monroe County is on a mission to make sure no veteran goes hungry. A historic Pennsylvania unit is formally retired after more than a century of service. We'll tell you about its new mission next.
We now return to Veterans Voices.
Welcome back to Veterans Voices. Now to a bittersweet event in Wilkes-Barre. After more than a century of service, the 109th Field Artillery has been absorbed by the 28th Division Artillery.
Leaders say it's not the end of a legacy, but the beginning of a new chapter. 2822's Brian Orban takes us to the military ceremony.
Inside the Kingston Armory, pride, honor, and history. The 109th Field Artillery formally ceased its colors, and the 28th Division Artillery rolled out its own.
The retirement of the 109th is not the end of a book. It's a transition. It's the next chapter.
More than 200 soldiers from the 109th will continue serving under the 28th Division Artillery at the Kingston Armory, while around 100 others are being reassigned across the state, keeping their skills in the fight.
The 109th's record of service will forever remain woven into the fabric of the Keystone Division, and its soldiers, past and present, stand as proof that the strength of our artillery is not the guns, but in the people who serve behind them.
For some, the change means leaving this armory, but not the bonds of service.
This has been my family in the 109th, so it is bittersweet, although as the Army's changing and modernization is coming, it's for future good.
The new division brings a different structure, new equipment, and a mission leaders say will carry Pennsylvania's National Guard into an ever-changing world.
And let's move forward with a purpose, with unity, and full knowledge that you are going to write the next chapter of the storied history of our Wyoming Valley soldiers.
A farewell to the 109th and a fresh beginning for the 28th. For Veterans Voices in Wilkes-Barre, Brian Orban, 2822 News.
The 109th traces its roots to 1775 and was officially designated a field artillery regiment in 1917. The 28th Infantry Division, now absorbing its soldiers, remains the oldest continuously serving division in the U.S. Army.
At just 19 years old, a Manuka native and now retired National Guardsman Sean O'Shea was given the task most young men couldn't even fathom: guarding one of the most prolific and elusive war criminals of all time. 2822's Avery Nape sat down with O'Shea to talk about his unusual encounter.
The first time he tried to take over Iraq, he failed. He showed me where he got shot in the knee. And then he said the second time, I came back with a tank. And I said, oh, looks like that worked for you.
This is Sean O'Shea. And what he's describing is one of the many conversations he had with the late Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein. O'Shea is a Manuka native and retired National Guard Sergeant First Class. He started his military career following 9/11 at just 17 years old, not expecting to be deployed to Iraq. But not long after he finished training, he was shipped out to the Middle East.
You're afraid. There's a lot of uncertainty, but at that age, you're kind of like, come on, let's go.
He and his platoon of 50 to 60 men were stationed at a prison, guarding high-value detainees. But after being interviewed by the FBI, he and only a handful of other soldiers were chosen to guard perhaps the highest value prisoner. For the next 10 months, he would be face-to-face with Saddam Hussein. What was going through your head when you found out that it was Saddam Hussein that you were guarding?
It's just so hard to wrap your head around it. And, now the older I get, it seems a little more significant to me. But at that time, you're going face-to-face and spending hours every day with a monstrous human being who is responsible for killing thousands at a time.
And O'Shea says spending so much time with a person responsible for so many atrocities was the hardest part.
You get to see him brush his teeth, do his wash, eat his meals, have conversations back and forth. Kind of humanizes him a little bit, but you always have to take a step back and remember who you're dealing with.
O'Shea did have some unique interactions with one of history's most notorious war criminals. He says conversations ranged from religion to dating advice, and one time they even smoked cigars together.
His family would send him cigars through the Red Cross, and I got to participate in having a cigar with Saddam Hussein. Not something you want to brag about, but I said, why would I turn that down?
O'Shea says despite being in captivity, Hussein believed he would one day be free.
He was convinced up to the very end that he was going to be put back in power. And he would invite us back, and I don't think I would have taken that trip.
And more than 20 years later, he says his experiences in Iraq still don't feel real.
The older I get, I still can't believe that a kid from Manuka, a 19-year-old kid from Manuka, is hanging out with arguably the most notorious man in the world at that time.
For Veterans Voices, Avery Nape, 2822 News.
O'Shea told Avery he still keeps in touch with some of the other men he served with.
A new resource in the Poconos wants to ease food insecurity while also honoring the service of local heroes. 2822's Julie Dunphy has more details about the veterans nonprofit behind the mission in Monroe County.
Marriages of turkeys.
Volunteers at the Valor Clinic Foundation in Polk Township have been planning for Thanksgiving well ahead of the holiday. They hope to stock freezers with turkeys to feed more than 630 veterans and their families.
If you don't think you can help, you'd be surprised. You helping somebody may make somebody else smile. That's what it's about.
The nonprofit is centered around assisting veterans with food insecurity, shelter, and mental health resources. Its founder, Mark Bayless, walks us through its newest food pantry at Camp Trexler, space they've needed to keep up with demand.
It's been a staggering amount of food. We've provided more than 1 million meals to struggling veterans since 2012, and it just keeps growing.
Within its first year in this building, around 80,000 meals were provided to local vets. They predict that number will grow, so they're seeking extra hands and donations.
The malnutrition problems are epidemic, #1, so you're trying to figure out how to give foods that they can use in their situation that can help alleviate the malnutrition problem in addition to the hunger.
The nonprofit offers more than just groceries, but also items for those in need of hygiene products. For pantry manager Eleanor Burke, dedicating her time is a show of gratitude and a way of giving back.
My dad was a vet. He's no longer with us, but I was raised around a lot of veterans, and I know the struggles that they go through and the time they put in to make sure that we're protected. So me doing this work, it's an honor.
For Veterans Voices, honoring those who serve, I'm Julie Dunphy, 2822 News.
The staff of Valor Clinic Foundation also oversees Paul's House in Kunkletown, Monroe County. The transitional home helps homeless veterans receive mental health support, access to food, and a path to get back on their feet.
The programs and the people and the processes that occur here create a family. And so you may exit these doors, but the people that you come in contact with here do not exit your life.
Paul's House is funded entirely through donations and has helped a number of veterans over the last 10 years. A family receives closure as a loved one's remains are finally home 80 years after he died in 1944.
It just goes to show we never forget and we never leave anyone behind.
And an area veterans group hosts a vivid reminder to raise awareness to the veterans' lives lost each day to suicide.
If you're struggling out there, please reach out.
These stories are next on Veterans Voices.
We now return to Veterans Voices.
A moving ceremony was held in Scranton back in September. A World War II veteran finally back home for burial. Seaman Second Class Jerome Mullaney's remains have been missing for more than 80 years.
Recently, the U.S. Navy's POW and MIA unit discovered and identified them. 2822's Connor Core was there for his final homecoming at St. Mary's Cemetery in Scranton.
Never gets old to be a part of this, and if you talk to any of the sailors that were here today in their dress whites, this is always a big deal for them.
Seaman Second Class Mullaney died aboard the USS Glennon 2 days after the D-Day invasion on June 6, 1944. His remains were missing since then and were recently discovered and identified by the U.S. Navy's POW MIA. His niece was never expecting to get closure on what happened to her uncle.
If I'm honest, I'd say strange. It's been going on for so very long. It just became a part of everyone's life. This is only a small portion of the family.
Mullaney received the Purple Heart Medal posthumously for his contributions to World War II.
Be a part of a repatriation where after 80 years we're bringing a sailor home to his family and putting him final rest with his parents here in his hometown, with his nieces and nephews in attendance is a fantastic honor and a privilege for me.
Mullaney would have been 99 years old this past April. His niece wants him to be remembered by one thing.
Adventuresome. I would. It just takes a lot of adventure at that age to want to join.
To do what he did, yes.
To do what he already had.
Three brothers in service.
As the only member of his family to join the Navy, he was never forgotten all these years later.
It just goes to show we never forget and we never leave anyone behind.
For Veterans Voices in Scranton, Connor Core, 2822 News.
Sadly, thousands of veterans take their lives each year. An American Legion's visual reminder of the startling statistic was on display during Suicide Prevention Month. 2822's Avery Nape spoke with some veterans who say suicide can be a difficult topic to discuss, But for veterans he spoke with, having those difficult discussions could very well mean the difference between life and death.
In September, American Legion Post 927 in Chestnut Hill Township, Monroe County, placed hundreds of flags in front of their post along Route 209. 572 flags line the lawn, each one representing a veteran who has committed suicide in just a 26-day period. It's a sobering figure, and members of the Legion say that's the point.
As a veteran suicide survivor myself, the 22 a day that's been socially acceptable, if you will, for the last 15, 20 years is beyond unacceptable.
Anything that we can do to raise awareness, raise people's ability to speak out and reach out to someone and pull them back from the abyss is worth the effort, even if it's just one person.
During the Post Be the One community event on September 27th, organizers added 22 more flags, totaling 594. Zachariah Taylor, an Army veteran and suicide survivor who served in Iraq, says it's not uncommon for vets to deal with mental health issues after returning home.
We all come home with demons that unfortunately at times dictate how we think, and overcoming that is the biggest challenge I have found since coming home from Iraq. Unfortunately, the stigma that surrounds asking for help makes us seem weak to our fellow veterans, but in all reality, that's what brings us the strength to heal and to help others heal.
And while finding that strength may be easier said than done, both men agree, veteran or not, you are never alone.
If you're struggling out there, please reach out. If you know someone who's struggling, please reach out to them and ask them how you can help, what you can do.
It takes more strength to say, you know what, I have a problem, I need help, and to reach out for the help, so do it. And again, you know, it's okay to not be okay.
For Veterans Voices in Monroe County, Avery Nape, 2822 News.
If you're a veteran who needs to talk with someone, you can call the Veterans Crisis Line. Dial 988 and press 1. Text 838255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net to chat online. There is someone there 24/7, 365 days a year.
On the 4th of July, many stopped in Northumberland County to remember the lives lost during the Vietnam War. 2822's Joe Mason was in Coltmont, where people paused to remember heroes at the Vietnam Traveling Wall.
58,311. That's how many names are listed on the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C., and how many names are listed on the Vietnam Traveling Wall. Each name represents a life cut short, including 22 from Northumberland County. On July 4th, hundreds of people remembered those lives in Coltmont.
I have a very, very good friend that's on the wall. Excuse me. Yes, I know some names on the wall.
Private Ray T. Comfort, United States Marine Corps, April 13, 1968.
They should be proud for their service, and I think they would be thankful that they were recognized for what they did.
The Traveling Wall is 3/5 the size of the memorial in D.C. It stands 6 feet tall in the center and is nearly 300 feet end to end. The wall also serves to educate younger generations who may not know about the Vietnam War.
This is the way that we educate people of all ages throughout the country.
It's extremely important so you get a sense of duty, patriotism, and that your fellow citizens, what they will do for you and what they have done for you.
There was a gentleman who spoke earlier today. I knew his son was lost in 2004 in Iraq. His name's on the 9/11 memorial because every veteran who served after 9/11 is commemorated who lost his life on that wall.
In a small community like this of about 2,600 people, it's just unbelievable that we had almost 1,000 people here just to witness the opening ceremony.
For Veterans Voices in Coltmont, Joe Mason, 2822 News.
Still to come, an important part of World War II history happened right here in NEPA.
There were 9,135 workers, but there were only 10,000 people in Berwick. So it's not just a Berwick thing, it's a northeastern Pennsylvania thing.
A history lesson courtesy of the Stewart Tank Memorial Association is up next.
The weather is absolutely beautiful, and the excitement and the experience that it created for those people, it was just priceless.
And then it was a thrill for many to take to the skies to support and honor our military heroes.
We now return to Veterans Voices.
Well, some people took their patriotism to new heights recently. It was an adrenaline rush that raised money to help out our local veterans. The Jump for Heroes event took place recently high above Hazleton Regional Airport. It's called Skydive for Soldiers, and $35 was set aside from each tandem skydive for the veteran-based nonprofit Wounded Warriors Project. Helping our war heroes is something organizers say is easy to get behind.
We were kind of brainstorming, like, you know what, let's kind of look into the Wounded Warrior Project. We have some tandem instructors who were retired military also, so it was a cause that was near and dear to our hearts.
But before anyone actually jumps out of a perfectly good airplane, instructors on the ground made sure everyone was comfortable with what they're about to experience, especially those jumping for the first time.
We have about a 10-minute class. They need to just learn how to exit the airplane and land, and then they do their first jump with us.
They always say free fall is their favorite part, so just leaving that plane and then just feeling so free until, you know, the parachute opens, that's usually the common agreement that that is their favorite.
Some say they jumped for the thrill, others say they jumped to honor a veteran. One Army veteran stayed firmly on the ground, watching proudly as his daughter took the plunge.
That makes me feel great to see her jump, because I know I did, and I'd love to see her do it. This was her second jump, and she did very well.
Thought something about this for supporting Wounded Warrior, and everything they go through, they deserve all the support they can get. And with skydiving, it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, so figured I might as well kill two birds with one stone.
Join me every Friday for a new story honoring our nation's veterans during our 4, 5, and 7 p.m. newscasts. And I'd love to hear from our viewers as well. So if you have a story for Veterans Voices, let me know. Ntoma at 2822news.com.
History buffs relived an important chapter of American history one weekend in late July. The World War II weekend brings to life America's involvement in World War II and an iconic Army tank manufactured in northeastern Pennsylvania. 2822's Colby Hughes was there for the history lesson.
Tanks, mock battles, and military regalia. It is all part of Berwick's World War II weekend, which marked its 8th year in July.
So far, this is our best year. More and more people are finding out about it and coming, because some people say, I never knew this was here, or that you guys did this here in Berwick.
The factory that made Stuart tanks in Berwick during the 1940s employed thousands of workers, connecting people from all over NEPA.
Well, the factory was right here in town. Everybody in town had somebody that worked in the factory or was in World War II. There were 9,135 workers, but there were only 10,000 people in Berwick. So it's not just a Berwick thing, it's a northeastern Pennsylvania thing.
Under his own tent, a 98-year-old World War II veteran shared his story and photographs.
It makes me so proud to be here to talk to all these people coming through, because a lot of them never knew what a PT boat was and like to learn about your experiences in the war.
The crowd included people of all ages, but it's the kids that impress the organizers.
These video games these kids play, we have kids 11 years old come to our museum and they know more about our tanks than we do. And I've been doing this for 21 years.
One war history fanatic tells us how special an event like this is to him.
Pretty important because everyone's forgetting about the World War II, and everyone's starting to not care about the military when we need people to care about it.
Organizers say as the years go on, it's important that the stories of the greatest generation are passed on.
That's our whole purpose, is to keep this history alive of what happened here in Berwick during World War II.
For Veterans Voices in Berwick, Colby Hughes, 2822 News.
The Stuart Tank Association also operates a museum in Berwick, and we have that information on our website. We hope you enjoyed our salute to area veterans, and you can find more stories honoring our veterans on 2822news.com. I'm Candace Kelly.
And I'm Nick Toma. For everyone here at 2822 News, thank you for joining us for Veterans Voices. And thank you to all who've served and continue to serve our country.